Good evening, everyone. Looks as though we've gone live for the second Ebor preview of the week. Hopefully you enjoyed the first one. We're 3 days in, so we didn't really have a look ahead to today's race, obviously, because decks weren't in, but we did the first couple of days, and Niall Hannity's best bet of the week absolutely bombed in yesterday afternoon, 10-1 when he put it up. I went off well back 5-1 shot, I think, and did win well for the Keith Dalgleish team, so well done to Niall on that. He's driving tonight, so he's not with us. So you've just got me and Martin to run you through tomorrow's card. We are just concentrating often on a Friday night. We'll look ahead to anything that's been shown on ITV, but we are concentrating on the York Ebor meeting. And of course, the Ebor does take centre stage tomorrow afternoon. So I'll be looking ahead to that. We'll be looking ahead to the Melrose, which is one of the toughest handicaps to try and solve every season. Always a really strong piece of form. And we'll be looking ahead to a couple of group races as well, the Strensel and the City of York Stakes Group 2 and Group 3 races there. So lots to get through, but Mark, we'll start with a look back at today. You've been at York all afternoon, and it was bloody windy, wasn't
it? It was, yeah. It was horrible conditions, really, to be fair. No track record for Batash this year, but conditions weren't conducive to that this time around, were they? But he got it done again. 2's on, beat that Kea Mora, who's really lightning fast, didn't she, through the first half of the race for Michael Dodge. She ran a screamer, but Batash gets it done again. 2 Numthorpes now, and gone are the days where we talk of him as being sort of that inconsistent enigma that you can't trust to give his running. I thought it was a super day's racing. Really, really enjoyed it. Minzal was brilliant in the gym crack. He's a proper sprinting 2-year-old. He'll take a hell of a lot of beating in the middle park at the end of the season. I know it's not telling anybody they can't work out for themselves, but that will be where he heads, I'm sure. Won the gym crack Group 2. You want to be winning a Group 1 with him next, and I would imagine that they'll just gear straight towards the middle park. So if anybody fancies an anti-purse stab at Minzal, be sure that's where he'll turn up. And whatever price he is at the moment, I'd need to check actually to see what price he is at the moment, but he will shorten up as the time gets closer and it becomes more assured that he'll run. And a horse for people's trackers or notebooks or whatever they want to use nowadays, Dalani Jujo. I've picked a good one there, haven't I, for people to be able to spell. Dalani Jujo. She finished 3rd in the Fillies handicap at 4:15 today, and she shaped really well. She got caught up in a hot pace too far out, tanked her way into the lead, and got pegged back by 2 horses from off the pace, and she shaped very well. She will be winning, I think, in the next couple of months.
And what time did she run, Matt?
She ran in the 4:15, finished 3rd today for Mick Channon. Dalani Jujo.
Yeah, Dalani Jujo, yeah. That was the race won by Angel Power. So that was that Fillies handicap of a 10 and a bit furlongs. There's not any betting on the middle part yet, so just keep an eye out for that. Once bookmakers do start pricing up a race like that, then keep an eye out for the prices becoming available, and most notably that price on Minzal, because he looked a proper machine today. He was quite green when he won on his debut, but he didn't have to come off the bridle, did he, to win at Salisbury on his next start. And today, again, he was a little bit slow away, but he just did it all so easily, didn't he? It was really.
I'll tell you
impressive.
What, as well, you'll do well to. I think he could be. I genuinely believe that he could be like a proper star sort of thing, But they've got Batash, obviously the same connections, but there's a long way off to like a Commonwealth Cup next season at Royal Ascot and things like that. But he would be, looking at the way that he's going at the moment, it'd be a horse to be mixing it in that sort of company as a 3-year-old as well. And he's got serious ability anyway. So no, that was good today. It was an enjoyable day's racing. Hope for more of the same tomorrow. It's again, as you expect it, York. It's a cracking card, and it's 7 races tomorrow as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The man to follow today was Jim Crowley. I was doing some previews this morning. I sort of said he would be the jockey to follow this afternoon. I didn't see all those winners that he had coming, but I did think he had a good book of rides, and he took the first 4, didn't he? So hopefully a few of you, I know quite a few of the... Go on.
I was working with Nick Luck, as you know, and he'd had a little dabble on a few of the multiples with Jim Crowley rolling up, so he was getting rather excited after a couple of races.
Did he do all right out the 4-timer? He must have done.
He did all right. He did all right. I'll say no more, but he did all right.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully I know a few of the people that watch this, you like to have your multiple bets and things like that, and hopefully you had those Jim Crowley bets, and if you did and you were offered a cash out before Torlead, who finished second to Naval Crown, you maybe got a bit out. Cashing out, not normally a thing that I would be doing, but I know people like it, and time and a place, I suppose, and you might have called it right today. Well done if you did. Well done if you found some winners. Let's get on to trying to find some winners tomorrow then. We'll start, Mark, with the ground, because the times weren't that bad again today. It was good ground, little bit of rain. Batash's time was still pretty good, but the difficulty in the times is that obviously up the straight, they're wind assisted. So that's not telling you everything about the ground, is it? Yeah. No,
they were today. I think it was, they were kicking the top off, weren't they? I would say that it's ground that most horses should act on, to be honest. I wouldn't get caught up in it too much. I think if they like a little bit of ease, as long as they're not reliant on it being absolutely either absolutely bottomless or like a road, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I think it's the sort of going that pretty much everything should handle, and best horse should win, essentially, as the racing goes. So that's a good position to be in, really. It does make it sometimes a little bit more difficult to rule horses out, I suppose, but you are just looking for the run of the race, the best prospects. And if we look to race one, we've got a Group 1 winner as favourite, haven't we, in Lord Glitters, who I know you can read Dave O'Mara's comments, I think, can't you, on the winner's enclosure, through the winner's enclosure tweets if you follow them on Twitter. So he'll have a view on Lord Glitters tomorrow, but no doubt they'll be very hopeful for a big run, because he's dropping in class tomorrow after a good run, I thought, last time out. Well, I say dropping in class, it's another Group 2 for him, but I think this is probably an easier one than the one that he ran in last time. Yeah, the one that he ran in last time out was won by a horse that had got previous Group 1 form, admittedly not in Britain, but Aspetar had and he'd shaped really, really well. I think that was basically a deeper Group 2 than the one that he's in tomorrow, and he won this race a couple of years back, did Lord Glitters, so he's proven at the track, he's proven at the trip. The conditions won't be a problem for him. I think he goes on pretty much anything. And Dave's got a really good record in the race. He won it a couple of times before Lord Glitters won it as well. He won it in 2014 and 2015. Custom Cup won it, and Mondial Least won it. So it's a race that he's targeted, and I know for a fact that this has been the target for Lord Glitters from some way out. The start to his season was always going to be when he started at Ascot in the Summer Mile. Then it was to move on to York for his run last time out, but this has sort of been his big target, the race that I think they really felt that he could go and win. And if he's on his A game, he's going to have a massive, massive chance, isn't he? Yeah, he's got to. The run of the race should suit him as well. I think Pogo will make there's a couple of them. Miss O'Connor, who's a pretty free-going front runner, she nearly always makes it. Pogo, who's made the run in the last couple of starts, he'll be pushing the pace on as well. It should be a good even test for him, and that's what he needs, really, Lord Glitters. It's a perfect trip. Track suits him really well. A little bit of give underfoot. I actually think that he's best when there's just a little bit of ease in the ground. There is going to be that for him. Couldn't set the race up better for him, really, Lord Glitters. He is favourite, but he's just eased out a little bit. I think you can get a top price of 100 to 30 with a couple of bookmakers now. Generally a 3-to-1 shot across the board, pretty much. I think that's a fair price. I think he's got his optimum conditions. He should get a good pace. We know that he's been targeted at the race. It looks a very fair price to me, and I'd be with Lord Glitters in the first. Yeah, I think Zabil Prince is probably his big danger. He's a previous Group 1 winner himself. Go back to early part of last year, spring of last year, and he won a Group 1 over this sort of trip, 9 furlongs at Longchamp. He didn't run a particularly encouraging race on his return to action at Leopardstown, but he'd been off the track, obviously, for almost a year at that point. It makes you think there's been some sort of an issue. That's what bothers me about him, to be honest. I don't know. He had nearly a year off the track. He ended last season out of sorts, and then he's come back, and he's probably £10 below his best on his comeback when he's been sent off 5-4 favourite. I don't know. He's got a little bit of a query hanging over him. I think the biggest danger might be Pogo, who's just on the crest of a wave at the moment. He's really improving. he was placed in a Group 1 last time out, so this is going to be easier for him. There's no doubt about it. It was behind Andre Farb's horse in
Persian King
last time. Persian King, that's it. He was third behind him in the Ispahan over at Chantilly last time. Group 1 placing, followed pretty much run a crest every season so far. As the comer, and those that should probably be second favourite in the race behind Lord Glitters for me. I might even be tempted to back the pair, to be fair, but I think Lord Glitters is a worthy favourite, and if you're looking for the winner of the race, look no further than him.
Yep, I agree with that. And Regal Reality was 5th in that York Stakes last time out, has come out and won on the back of that. Salisbury won the Sovereign Stakes the other day, didn't it? So that form from York last time out already given a boost. And as Mark says, you can get as big as 100 to 30 now. He's sort of a general 3 to 1 shot. Some people have got him at 11 to 4. So there's a bit of discrepancy. Well worth getting the Winners Enclosure app as well to get those latest offers from the bookies. You can download the Winners Enclosure app, get that, and then they'll keep you up to date with the latest offers. You can get all of the Winners Enclosure tips as well. I ain't got the Winners Enclosure tips to hand tonight, so I won't be reading those out, but you can get the Winners Enclosure app to follow their tips. And a reminder as well, if you want to pop any questions in across the bottom here, then we'll try and keep an eye on that and answer any as we go. But we're going to carry on working our way through. We're both with Lord Glitters in the first. We move on to the second, the 225. This is the Melrose. And we've spoken about this horse a few times already while we've been doing these previews, Mark. And Favourite Moon, the favourite for it. He looks a nice prospect, doesn't he? He's going the right way.
He's a good horse. There's no doubt. He's only rated 87 at the moment. He'll end up 97 at least, I'd say. He's a really good horse. He's very progressive. He stays well. He'll handle the ground like with a little bit of cut in it. He deserved. I'd have been surprised if he wasn't favourite. He beat a good horse in Subjectivist. Admittedly, he was receiving plenty of weight, but Subjectivist run really well since in listed and group races. He's a very good horse, Subjectivist, and the pair were well clear at Haydock last time out. Couldn't put anybody off him. The only thing is, he's very well found in the market at 11 to 4. Like he's been backed ever since the market opened. He's been backed. And he's into a price now. I do think he deserves to be fab, and he might win. But make no mistake, this is a good race. Like it's full of progressive 3-year-olds, isn't it? It always is. And I'd be a little bit reluctant, to be honest, to be backing him at 11 to 4. If you're backing him at 11 to 4, you need to be thinking, he's a 2 to 1 shot sort of thing. I couldn't say that with any confidence, but I've no doubt that he'll go well. There is a horse in here that I think is massively overpriced, which is Arthurian Fable for Jim Crowley. Again, riding on the crest of a wave, comes into it on the back of a win. He beat 2 horses last time out, and he absolutely bolted up. He ran at Sandown. He won 2 3/4 lengths. It was his first try over 1 mile and 3/4. He loved the trip, and he beat 2 horses, Thai Power and Postilio, who came out this afternoon at Salisbury, and both of them ran pretty well at Salisbury today. Postilio, who finished 3rd, actually won this afternoon. So it wasn't a bad little race that he won at Sandown. He's proven at the trip. Like I say, he's banging form, very genuine, and he's as big as 18 to 1, generally a 16 to 1 shot. Arthurian Fable in the Melrose 225 tomorrow. A couple of firms going 5 places. The majority are 4 places in the Melrose, even though there's 14 runners, isn't there? Because Grand Bazaar's not going to go. Even though there's only 14 runners, you can get as many as 5 places with a couple of the firms. So I would recommend strongly Arthurian Fable each way, and at the best offers you can get each way at most places.
Yeah, Sky Bet are 5 places, and I know that a few of their offers will come up through the Winners Enclosure app. So again, just a reminder to have a look at that.
You make sure you want to make sure you get on with Sky Bet then, because 5 places, obviously. I mean, 16 to 1, 5 places is a bit of a gift, really, I think, for that horse. I'm not saying he will. Any horse can disappoint, but that that is seriously good value if you can get on Arthurian Fable 16 to 1, 5 places each way. I think he'll run really well.
Yeah, a couple of horses that were right down the field in that race that he won. Indigo Lake, who's not very genuine, but he went fairly close, shaped quite well in a sense at Newmarket last weekend, and Camouflage wasn't beaten that far at Chester when he finished third. So,
funnily enough, Indigo Lake actually beat the favourite Moon earlier on in the season, didn't he?
Yeah,
beat him at Donny.
He did.
Beat him at Doncaster. I mean, they were on different terms, different days, different conditions and tracks and that. But Indigo Lake was about 6.5, 7 lengths behind Arthurian Fable at Sandown last time out. I think it's a huge price, big player.
Yeah, the horse that I thought was quite a big price is Fishable. We've had a good couple of results out of Fishable, including on a Friday Night Live one night when we put him up as a live tip. He's won his last 2. Now, this is a horse that started off over 7 furlongs at Redcar. I was there working that day and saw him, and I just really liked him as a horse. Now, he finished second to Confide, who was obviously on the back of that, gone on and progressed into a decent handicapper himself. He won at Newbury the other day. And Fishable, over 7 furlongs, far too short for him. Really did catch the eye, keeping on, beaten 2 and a bit lengths by him, by a horse that's now gone on and won a handicap off a mark of 84 and done it quite nicely. He then went to Hamilton, and again he shaped quite nicely, but the improvement came when they put him up in trip into handicaps. Now he's taken a massive jump up in trip. He's going up a half mile in distance, and he's by Dutch Art, which does make you think, will it be a step too far? But there's loads of stamina down the other side of his pedigree, isn't there? Now, they're by stouter stallions, but I think if this was I think a 1.5 mile race would have been more suitable, really. But he's a big enough price. You can get as big as 22 to 1 just to have a look, because I do think that he's a horse that is still improving. Tim Easterby's horses are really going well. They had Dark Jedi run really well this afternoon, didn't they? And I think that he's a horse that whatever happens, he's going to win some more races, whether it's this or not. I don't know, but he's a big enough price to make you think that he's of some interest.
Yeah, no, he might stay. I wouldn't be sure that he would, to be honest. And I do think that on easy ground in a race as competitive as this, you're not going to get away with not staying. No, I don't really like it. I mean, he's up 4.5 furlongs in trip. I mean, it's a big old hike, isn't it?
It is. It's a long way. But
as you said, there's reasons there. But I think I would be doubtful that he'd stay. I'd much rather, as I say, I think Arthurian Fable is a gift. 16 to 1, 5 places.
The other thing about Arthurian Fable that's a bit of a positive, I suppose, is his style of racing, because we were looking the other day. I was chatting, wasn't I? Came up on this the first night of the Ebor preview with those stats about 1.75 mile plus races at the track, trying to make the running, and horses that actually lead have got a terrible record. Niall did pass it on clearly with Summer Moon, because he just sat in behind the lead. He wasn't having anything of the early gallop, was he? He was just sort of sat in behind.
Despite disregarding your comments on the night, Hannity used it to his advantage and passed it on to make himself a few quid.
Standard.
Can't blame him.
But I think this looks like a race where they will go quicker. I think there's going to be a bit of a pace collapse. I saw one of them with Brunch today who looked like a horse that would be suited by a pace collapse. And my advice, if you're going through this and having a look for a horse yourself that you like the form of, sometimes these big field handicaps, the way that me and Mark would often narrow it down is either draw or pace. Where is the winner going to come from? And then suddenly you don't have a 15 runner handicap to necessarily try and solve. You've just got to look at the ones that you think are going to be in the right spot in the race. And I think in this, you're looking for anything that's mid-division or further back, maybe, as horses to potentially be back in each way. And as Mark says, Arthurian Fable fits the bill.
Yeah, I do like proven stayers as well. I think you often think, yes, that should stay. But until they actually, certainly 3-year-olds, that sort of immature stage of their career, they don't always do it when you think they're gonna. So, as I say, that's another big tick in the box of Arthurian Fable for me. The fact that he's already won over 1.75 miles. So he's not going to feel for lack of stamina. He's not going to feel for current form, really. I don't think 30 days on from his win. No knocking the actual level of form, and £6 rise is potentially lenient, judged on what the certainly Postilio did today at Salisbury. So, no, he's a good bet. I think he's a really good bet.
Yep. Let's move on to the Sky Bet City of York Stakes, Group 2, 7 furlongs. Favourite for this is One Master, who she's an absolute belter, and anyone that backed him, I'm sure there were plenty that did at Goodwood last time out. Well, it was a bit of a scary ride, wasn't it, if you had taken the short odds, because she did unbelievably well to overcome all the trouble that she met. And how she got up, I still don't know, really, because she was basically in an impossible position with no time left, and it's just class that saw her through, wasn't it?
Yeah, she got up because she's seriously talented, didn't she? And I mean, she didn't have to be near her best, to be fair, but she was a class apart from those horses. But she overcame trouble in running. She's very genuine. Her 7 furlong record, her last 3 starts over 7 furlongs, she's unbeaten. She's won 2 Prix de la Forêt Group 1 race in France in the autumn on 2 of those occasions, and then she went and won the Oak Tree last time out. She's placed in Group 1s over a mile. She's placed in Group 1s over 6 furlongs, but 7 furlongs is pretty much her optimum trip, isn't it?
Only been beaten once over 7.
Yeah, that was a good while ago as well, wasn't it? You can
2
ride her
years
as
ago,
you like. She's genuine. She relaxes. She's basically looks a bus of a ride, doesn't she? And she does everything right. I mean, this is a good race. San Donato coming back to 7 furlongs is pretty interesting. He's been running over a mile. He finished a good second behind the Sussex winner Mo Haffer in the Summer Mile at Ascot earlier on in the year. Then in the Sussex last time out, he actually shaped pretty well. He made a big move and then got tired a furlong out. Coming back to 7 furlongs could be a massive positive for him.
It could. I think. Yeah, I think that the only worry that I've got with San Donato, because I thought the run obviously behind Mahathir at Ascot is a good run, a really good run. He'd been off the track for ages beforehand, and things didn't go right for him. He made that big move, didn't he? At Goodwood last time out. My worry is that this might be a little bit of a messy race, because I think the drop back in trip is definitely going to help him. But aside from Shine So Bright, you haven't really got a front runner, and there's just a chance, because he's quite keen. I think all of his best form really is off a good gallop, and if he doesn't get one, there's a chance that he'll be a bit keen. I wouldn't be surprised if this horse, he might be like One Master, a real 7 furlong specialist that can do form either side of it, but really he's a 7 furlong specialist. I also wouldn't be that surprised if he was a sprinter. No, I really wouldn't. I think he's really, really quick, and he had all those wins a couple of years back, didn't he, over 6?
Well, all of his career, he's only won 3 times in his life. They've all been over 6 furlongs, so he does have a lot of speed. There's no doubt about it. I think coming back to 7's probably a good thing for him anyway. Safe Voyage, we know him. He's a cracking horse for John Quinn. Proper 7 furlong specialist, likes a bit of ease in the ground. He's got that. He'll run well. I suspect that in against a Group 1 winner in One Master, he's probably vulnerable. To be honest, I expect One Master to win, really. I think I think the market has it right. San Donato's the danger. Safe Voyage will run well, but like I say, I think he might just come up a little bit short and sort of hit the frame, but not quite be good enough. But there's no knock in the filly. I don't think William Haggis's filly, so I'd be with her.
No. Yeah, so would I. I think she's going to be really hard to beat. 15 to 8 is top pricing in Get General, sort of 7 to 4 shot.
It's not a big price, is it? To be fair, it's kind of where you'd have her, but she's a little bit like the favourite, the other Haggis horse we've just talked about, Favourite Moon. If I was looking at the race, I'd think, well, that should be favourite. Well, he is favourite. He's the horse to beat, but there are others in there that maybe, all things considered, offer better value. I think in the case of One Master, she's probably a little bit better value at the current odds, even than Favourite Moon, because she's just got, although the good horses against her, we know that if she turns up, she's probably got a few pounds in hand of them, to be honest.
She's a genuine Group 1 performer of a 7 furlongs, and she's running in a Group 2, and
without a penalty.
You can easily make it. And you can make a case for her being a little bit shorter than she is, really. Threat, you were all over him last year when he won at this meeting, Mark. You were very keen on him when he won the Gym Crack. This season hasn't really gone his way, has it? And you'd have to be a bit worried about his running the July Cup and not finding much. But obviously, if he got back to form, he would have a squeak. But he'd have to get back to form and some more to win this, because his 2-year-old form as it stands isn't good enough to win against the likes of a One Master or a San Donato, is it?
No, not at all. No, I'd struggle to back him, really. I thought there was money for him in the July Cup. He disappointed, didn't find anything. We don't really know that he's trained on. I wouldn't be absolutely certain that he'd stay 7 furlongs. He's got a lot of speed, and I thought that coming back to 6 would be a plus in the July Cup. He disappointed. There has been money for him, I suspect. I haven't read anything, but I assume somebody's put him up in a tipping column or something. He wouldn't be for me. No. He needs to probably come back off one of his worst performances of his career and bounce back with the best performance of his career. So no, he wouldn't be for me. I think One Master will probably win, but San Donato will probably shake her up and give her a bit of a race back at 7 furlong. Yeah,
if I was going to have one at a big price, it'd be Escobar. He'll tank into the race. Jamie Spencer suits him perfectly. I don't think he'll win, but I think he might run reasonably well. But for me, it's One Master. I think she'll take quite a bit of beating in that. Then we get on to the Ebor itself, Sky Bet Ebor. It was supposed to be £1 million Ebor this year, but obviously with everything that's been going on, prize money's been hit across the board, and it's 140 grand to the winner. So the £1 million Ebor hasn't happened, unfortunately, but hopefully it does further down the line. Fajera Prince is the horse at the top of the market for this. When I was looking at it earlier on, Mark, again, the thing that struck me is how good the gallop is likely to be. You've got plenty of horses that are probably going to be up there, likes of Dash of Spice, who's drawn towards the inside. He's basically quite a keen going front runner. You've got Hochfeld, who's towards the inside. He's sort of a forward going horse. And there's no shortage of others either. Is the Fajera Prince himself is one that probably won't be too far away. And for that reason, I sort of, at the price that he is, having gone up the weights for Ascot, and fully deserving going up the weights for Ascot. Yeah, he did. But I don't know. As the favourite, I'd just rather look elsewhere.
Yeah, I think that's right. To be fair, it was a Royal Ascot handicap, but it hasn't really worked out that well, has it?
Not at all. Not at all. So I was looking. I don't think the winner's come out of it yet, has it?
No. Salino's run okay since, but no better than that, and he was disappointing the next time he ran. Almania, Simcock's horse, was a little bit disappointing when he went to Ascot last month. He finished 3rd behind him, so he's gone up a lump, and this will be a better race. It was a Royal Ascot handicap last time out, but this is better, definitely. It's more competitive. It's an Ebor, isn't it? It's about the best sort of staying handicap you'll get all middle distance, or staying handicap you'll get all year. So, I mean, to win off 108, he's going to be knocking on for a sort of Group 2 class performance to do that. He might well be capable of it, admittedly, because he's not had much racing, has he, for a 6-year-old? But I'd be definitely with you in taking him on. I mean, there's a horse in this that I think has essentially looked like an Ebor horse all over for a long, long time, and that's Trushan of Alan King's. Like, he won last year over a mile 5 at Newbury at the back end of the season, and he beat a really good horse called Hamish of William Haggis's, who I'm pretty convinced is going to, we've not seen him since the Hardwick at Royal Ascot, actually. I don't know if he's got an issue or something, but I think he's a really good horse. And Trushan managed to beat him fair and square off level weights. Come out and won a listed race at Haydock last time out over a 1.5 miles, which is a bare minimum trip for him, really. going back up in trip is a massive positive. And yeah, he's rated 109. So like Fujairah Prince, he's going to have to be knocking on for sort of a Group 2 class performance to win it. But I think he's probably capable of it. He's going to love the strong pace. He'll love the track, the ground with a little bit of cut in it. And he's very genuine. And to me, he looks like he's been sort of aimed at this race all the way through the season pretty much and geared towards it. And Alan King, when he does that with his horses, he has a tremendous record, jumps and the flat with this type of horse.
Yeah, I mean, basically the whole season has been geared around the Ebor. I was working at Haydock that night when he won the listed race, and I backed Alignac, who he chinned.
Yeah.
He got him right on the line, and he did really well to beat him, because they didn't go that quick in that race. The time was really slow, and he managed to pick up from the back of the field under Martin Harley, who I think he got a whip ban for it, because he got stuck into him late on. But basically, the horse did extremely well to overcome and get the better of a horse that was miles better placed. Now, Alignac was a bit disappointing the other day at Newbury, but to the point where you just think that wasn't his running. So I wouldn't read too much into that. And I thought that Entangling, who was in behind another hold-up horse, he actually ran all right today. I know you fancied him a bit at York, and he didn't run a bad race. And he was another one that was unfavoured by how that race panned out. Trueshan was as well, but he managed to win. Longer trip will be absolutely perfect. As you mentioned, he beat Hamish, who was massively progressive going into that race in Newbury, because he'd won the Melrose, which, as we've said already, is always a really competitive handicap. And yeah, I think there's loads to like. I'd be amazed if he doesn't run well, and he's got just sort of everything that you look for in a horse that's going to win one of these big field staying handicaps. And there's every chance that he's going to be.
He's looked that type of horse all over pretty much for a year, hasn't he? And I think I seem to remember going back a year or so after he'd won one of his races. It might have been after the Newbury win, but it might have been after he won the Old Rowley Cup, the big 3-year-old handicap last year. And Alan King sort of pretty much said as much as this is an Ebor horse for the future. So they're going to target him. I do like him. I think he's as big as 9 to 1 you can get, but generally probably sort of 7s to 8s. I'd have him favourite anyway. I think he's the horse to beat.
He's got a great chance. The other horse that I sort of liked a little bit was another True Self, because I just wonder if this is all they've had their eye on. A couple of reasons for it. This is, and maybe it's not going to matter at all this year, because you might not be able to go anywhere. But the Ebor's like a win you're in for the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah.
And this horse has won down at Flemington before in a Group 3 handicap in November last year. I think that's at the same meeting, isn't it, that race? Yeah. He's owned by Australians, OTI. He runs in these Australian syndicate colours. Yeah, she runs in these Australian syndicate colours. And basically, I just think that all they've had their eye on is the Ebor for probably a year.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll have thought about anything else. Now, things might have changed a little bit in terms of whether they can pull off their plan in full, but I still think they're going to try and do the first bit and win the Ebor. First run back at the Curragh, end of June, trip too short. Last time out at Cork, dropped right out the back, messy race, no chance, sort of poodled its way through a little bit past a couple late on. And I just think that they've basically lined her up for this race.
Lined her up to peak. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Verdana Blue's been backed. People will know her from jumping as well. Ground, she'd want that to dry out a bit, wouldn't she? She's been backed.
Yeah, she wants it dead quick, really, doesn't she?
I mean, it might be okay by tomorrow, but see how it develops. But True Shan and True Self getting positives from us then.
I've just noticed those colours as well. Pondus will be another one that they've got their eye on.
To be fair, there's a hell of a lot of these that will have been targeted at the race because it's the Ebor, isn't it? So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It'll be in the plan for plenty, and it's only going to work.
Yeah, exactly. Pondus has been backed. He'll probably benefit from a well-run race at the Trip, and he runs in the Lloyd William colours. As that's who Joseph O'Brien won a Melbourne Cup for. So he's another one. But I'm going to go with the two trues: True Shannon, True Self. You can get as many as 6 places. Betfair Sportsbook, Paddy Power, they've both got 6 places on the Ebor, and they're competitively enough priced on the 2 horses that we've mentioned as well. 9-1 Sky Bet is the top price on True Shannon. I think that's probably the best bet in the race. That's who me and Mark will be back in tomorrow in the Ebor anyway. Remind you can pop those questions, and if you have been, I haven't really been looking. So I'm kind of looking at runners on the computer. I saw someone put a message on before saying Jim Crowley was smoking today, and I think they said that. There you go. And at Zany tomorrow, we've got a few horses that he likes the look of. What's he got tomorrow? He's got Zabil Prince, hasn't he? Who we've spoken about already. He's got Mambo Knight in the Melrose. He's got Sandonato, we've spoken about. If he can just get him settled. He's got Fajera Prince, who's favourite for the Ebor. He's got 5th position, and that's in the 440. We'll have a look at that in a second. For now, we're going to move on to the 410, 5th race of the day. This is the 2-year-olds, the Roses Stakes. And Acclam Express is a horse that's going the right way for Nigel Tinkler. See where he is in the market, because he was pretty impressive at Goodwood in a handicap last time out. And he's a horse with a lot of pace. That this was the plan for him straight after going to that. And I suspect he's got a fairly solid chance. But, a horse that I wouldn't rule out is Winter Power. He was a miles bigger price than him and was odds on to beat him in that Goodwood nursery. Now, she was too keen and just didn't run a race. Probably didn't handle the track. But they basically were forced to run her at Goodwood because she was running under a penalty for a win in a nursery at Redcar earlier on in the week, where she absolutely bolted up on the bridle by 5 lengths. Now, she'd been disappointing once before on a really quick turnaround. She started out at Newcastle, ran a really eye-catching race on her debut when she was obviously expected to go and win. They thought she was a Royal Ascot 2-year-old. She turned out quickly at Wolverhampton and bombed out. Now, she scoped dirty after that, Tim Easterby said after Redcar. But even so, I just think that she might have bounced off a quick run, and they were forced to go quickly, but they've now had a few weeks just to freshen her up. And when she won at Redcar, she looked like she was a listed class filly, at least. I know she was only winning a handicap of a low mark, but some of these 2-year-old races aren't that deep. And I think at 11-1 mark, she's a bit of value. She's been backed already, but I still think 11-1's a bit of value about her.
Yeah, fair enough. She's got a lot of pace, hasn't she? Acclam Express has been backed early, Chris. Nigel Tinkler, he had You Better Believe It run today at York, didn't he? He disappointed, but he did get a bit revved up in the prelims today. So, there might be another day in him yet. I like Lauded. To be honest, I didn't like the race. I think there's other better betting opportunities on the day, because they're sort of stabbing a bit in the dark with a few of these horses and wouldn't actually have a really strong view on it, to be fair. But Lauded was the horse that I looked at and thought, well, I'm pretty sure he'll run very well. He's dropping back a furlong in trip from the Richmond. Now, they actually had him in the gym crack today, and then they've obviously done a U-turn, changed their mind and dropped him to 5 furlongs. And initially, when I did the gym crack, I watched the video back of Lauded and I thought I'd rather him be running over 5 furlongs. And lo and behold, they pulled him out the gym crack. He's running here and they're dropping him to 5 furlongs. So I thought that was a definite positive for him. He ran in the Richmond last time out, which is obviously a Group 2. So this is a drop-in class. He's tried the Coventry and the Richmond on his last 2 starts. Both times he's travelled really well. And I felt like he was just starting to tie up inside the final furlong at Goodwood last time out. So drop into 5 furlongs, Ryan Moore rides, plenty of pace to aim at, not worried about the trip at all. I think it might suit him and improve him. And he's actually sort of very close to being, I've not checked the BHA ratings actually, but he's his best form, his Richmond run last time out, placed in a Group 2, is about the best piece of form on offer. I suspect it does actually have him the top rated horse the field. So
Ben McDewey's top rated 102. He's 101. Is Lord? Yeah, Lord is 101.
Yeah, he was second in the Molecombe, wasn't he? But he's bang up there in terms of his form already, and I just think he might even improve a little bit for the drop to 5 furlongs. So, lauded.
He clocked a really quick time at Haydock as well. For a debutant, that was a rapid time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was a good performance. So
definitely see it with him.
I do quite like him. I don't love the race generally, but I do think he's got a good chance. I'd have him shorter than 4th in the market anyway. So I think he's a fair price.
Yep, no, I think he probably is. Nomadic Empire picked up well at Thirst to win a little race last time out. You can get the thoughts of his trainer David O'Mara on the winners' enclosure tomorrow morning. They might even be there now, so it's definitely on the winners' enclosure site, probably on the app as well. So get that app, visit the site, have a look at Dave's thoughts on his runners tomorrow. He's got a favourite that we mentioned earlier on in Lord Glitters, plus a few other chances on the day. We move on to the 440. This is the Sky Bet handicap, 10 furlong handicap, and Sinjari. You liked this horse when he won the John Smith last time out, Mark. He's up £8. Is he good enough to defy that rise in the weights, do you think?
Yeah, I think he is. To be honest. He's a really good horse. I think he's a 1.25 mile horse, really. They ran him a lot of times last year over 1.5 miles, and it didn't work out for him. But he actually met a little bit of trouble last time out, and Certain Lad got away from him in the John Smith's Cup, and he had to be bloody good to run him down. Like, from the position that he came from, he had his work cut out to pick up and run down a good horse like Certain Lad, under a £7 claimer as well, the runner-up in the John Smiths, and he managed to do it. I thought he deserved loads of credit, and the handicappers put him up £8. If he'd have got a clear run through, he might have been set for a £12-13 rise, to be honest. So I still think he's well handicapped.
The other thing with this race is, like, John Smith's Cup is always a red hot handicap. It's always a really good race. Outside of sort of Meidani, Sinjari, Derivo and 5th position who ran in one of those races as well. But as you go sort of down the full field, you look at a lot of horses and you just think they haven't really been running in very good races. And this is just going to be miles more competitive than what they've been. Like, Glasses Up has been doing really well and he's been winning, but he's been winning tin pot races up at Ayr, really, hasn't he? You've got horses like Cockalorum that, that anything today, that horses that they're just not running at the same level of race as what the likes of Sinjari are. And it's off a higher mark that he's running in, but I think he's run off a higher mark in a less competitive handicap than he was in last time.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I mean, the other favourite is Meidani, who plenty of people will fancy. Crowley rides, riding out of his skin, etc. But I think making all at Goodwood is something that can flatter horses at times. And he did go a good gallop. I'm not saying he wasn't the best horse in the race because he pissed up. But I do think he was sort of fast, it wasn't fast ground, but it was decent ground, Goodwood. He had a relatively easy time in that nothing wanted to take him on for the lead, and he was drawn in stall 1 over the 10 furlong track at Goodwood, so he could just pop out, do his own thing pretty much, and he was definitely the best horse in the race. I'm not saying he was flattered to win, but the race saw every inch of him, if you like. It got to the very, very bottom of him, and he won by 5 lengths, which has meant that he's been hit by an £11 rise. And I don't think that tomorrow's race will see him to as good an effect as what Goodwood did, in that everything couldn't have gone better for him there. And I think he'll get taken on a little bit more. York's not such a front runner's track as what Goodwood is. It's a different set of conditions for him. I'm not sure it'll suit him. Whereas Sinjari has got pretty much exactly the same conditions as what he had when he won the John Smiths. So
yeah,
for me, Sinjari's the horse to be with. I think he should be clear favourite, and I suspect when it comes to the off, he will be clear favourite. Myself,
yeah. I think Danny myself. I think he might struggle to beat a couple of the ones that he beat at Goodwood, the likes of Deriva, who was drawn out in the car park really that day. So he had to do a bit of work. Whereas Danny was on the other side. He was in stall 1 and they got him to the front, and he didn't have to work to get to the front. Deriva actually had to work to get into a handy position, which was ultimately a good position, but he had to use something up in getting there. And fifth position, who in that messy race was just too keen, and they had blinkers on him for the first time that day, which was probably a bad idea. And they've come off, and obviously,
I mean, Sinjari was way too good for fifth position, though, wasn't he, as well?
Yeah, he was.
John Smith.
Yeah, he was, but he's got to pull at the weights. As I say, I don't think he'll beat Sinjari necessarily, but I think, for example, if I was going down that Goodwood piece of form, I'd rather back fifth position and Deriva. At the, you could back those two rather than Danny at the same price coupled, effectively.
Yeah.
So, I'd go that way. Danny will probably go and win now, but there you go. That's the view.
Everyone will want to back him because Crowley's riding him, and he's the man of the moment, isn't he? But
there wasn't anything at a big price that was catching my eye in that.
I must admit, I think it's a good punting race. Actually, I agree with you. Most of the outsiders just won't be winning. They're just not. They're not horses of that caliber. Basically, they're not. There's sort of 4 or 5 of them that are like, they've got seriously strong, proper handicap form. And there's pretty much all of the others that have been sort of tootling along in some of these northern 0 to 95s and that worth 7 or 8 grand to the winner. And they've been going up the weights and things for winning or being competitive in pretty weak races in the context of what this is. And then you've got the other horses with the uber sort of heritage handicap form. And to be honest, I think Sinjari is probably like a genuine group horse. He's probably going to have to be to win off 103, but I think he is. And I think 1.25 miles at York is exactly what he wants. It's a perfect race for him. Good field, good gallop. He's got a nice draw in stall 6 to just sit where he wants. And I think he'll take a hell of a lot of beating.
Yeah. Then we're on to the last Apprentice Riders Handicap for the 3-year-olds. Miras, his favourite for this. And he's a horse that's sort of made for York, really, isn't he? He's just really quick. He's coming back from 6 to 5, but that isn't going to be a problem for this horse, I wouldn't have thought, given the amount of pace that he's got. You could argue that it'd suit him. Yeah,
it shouldn't be. I mean, I always think sometimes he didn't at Hamilton 2 starts back, but he's regularly sort of made the running. And sometimes when you drop to 5 from 6, there are so many like ridiculously quick horses through the first 2 and 3 furlongs that are absolute out and out burn up 5 furlong horses that it can take them by surprise a little bit when they're dropping from 6 to 5. It is very different, although some of them look, particularly front runners, I think, when they look really fast over 6 and that's their style and they get out and they're able to boss races over 6 furlongs. When you drop them to 5 and they're not able to do that, it can sort of just take them off their feet a little bit and stop them from performing. That's my worry with Miras. I think they might have to do something different. And not only that, but you've got a different jockey on him as well, haven't you? So coupled with the jockey switch and that potential sort of having to do something different on him or sitting behind horses or whatever, it just bothers me. I think he's too short. It's a good race.
This wasn't a race that I liked a great deal. These 3-year-old sprint handicap form lines are all fairly tight, aren't they? To my mind, there wasn't really a horse in the race that looked like it had a bundle in hand of its mark.
No, I mean they will go like S off the S, won't they? They'll go flat out.
Yeah, of course.
you know,
Sam for 7, that'll
I'm
just
kind
be
of
sent again. Good jockey booking for Mick, innit? With Kieran Fallon riding.
Yeah, I didn't realise he'd lost his £3 claim. When did that happen? I've missed that.
He hasn't. It's just because it's an apprentice riders race.
Oh, what a clown! Do you know what? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I'm confused here. You're absolutely because he's riding in the listed race earlier on, and I'd noticed his name without a claim earlier on.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go.
No,
they didn't ride.
He hasn't lost it yet. But he's.
I'll have to ask Mick why Sylvester didn't ride
again. See if he knows.
Well, no, I won't have to because it's an apprentice rider's handicap.
Yeah. But no,
it is a good jockey booking anyway. But no, I mean, Poet's Dance looks a pretty big price on the back. She disappointed at Salisbury last time out, but I actually quite like some of her previous form. She's got a lot of speed, and she's one of the rags of the field, isn't she, under William Cox? But
yeah, that's the kind of horse that you'd want to back, really, because it's just tight knit. I do think Miras has got a real good chance because he's one of the few that's got a claim off his back against fellow apprentices.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think there's better favourites on the day than him, but
there is. You know the horse that? Let me just see what price this is. It's one of the rags. Never Dark.
Yeah. Who's this girl that's riding this? Mary Perot.
She had a winner for Baldwin. She won an apprentice riders handicap end of last month on what appeared to be her first ride. And since then, she's had a third, a second, a fifth, and a ninth. That's all she's had. But you don't really.
That was last year, wasn't it? Last year.
Was that last year? Ah, right.
Yeah.
Is she?
Yeah.
So anyway, what I was going to say was really that Andrew Baldwin putting up apprentices. He always has good apprentices.
Yeah. No, he does.
Once they get in a ride, then they're all right as a rule. Yarder in form, really quick horse. Track will be absolutely perfect, and it's just a rag of the field. And I kind of thought, well, apart from Illusionist won't be winning. I wouldn't have thought. So I because it's one of those races where I think you'd want to go with something at a biggish price. I'd throw Never Dark into the mix at Lawrence.
Fair enough.
So
yeah,
that's that really. Right.
That's it.
James Caldwell just said, "Come on, Martin, you're better than that." Obviously,
better than what?
Kieran Fallon. Well, the Kieran Fallon. When did he lose his claim?
I said, however, missed that.
Probably because it was the last race on the card, and you've been at York today. You have to get home.
That's it. That's it. By the time we're 7 races deep on the Saturday, and I've been at York all day. It's too late for me. I need to go to bed. Anyway, that Arthurian Fable's a bloody good bet. So 16 to 1 about that is way too. Is
that your best bet of the day?
Absolutely, categorically, yes. 5 places. Yeah.
What do I want to put up as my best bet? I'm going to go for Trushan in the Ebor.
Trushan in the Ebor. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I must admit, if you're actually just looking for a horse that, obviously Arthurian Fable's a 16 to 1 shot. So, it's a competitive race and he's not, but I do think he's a good bet. But that Sinjari, I think he'll take a hell of a lot of beating in that 440. I do think he's a very good horse, and I think not only that, but I think with the negatives I've touched on in my eyes in May Danny, I think he's a good bet, Sinjari, because
right. Let's put that up as our Trixie for tomorrow then. Sinjari, Trushan, and Arthurian Fable.
It's got to be an each way Trixie.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
Right.
That'll pay an absolute fortune.
I'm I'm gonna go get an early night so that I'm not referring to Kieran Fallon's £3 claim loss in on the TV tomorrow.
Absolutely, I'm off as well because I ain't had a sleep for quite a long time. So I'm
5 o'clock in the morning. I don't know how you get away with that. You're a dad now. What are you playing at, man?
He was asleep, so he had no idea, did he?
Shocking behaviour.
Vic was asleep as well, so I'm ready for a kip, and I've got to get some work done for Chelmsford tomorrow. I've got Chelmsford and Sandown this weekend, so I'll see you at Newmarket on Sunday night, Mark, before we go and look at some horses on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Everyone else,
you might do, yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, everyone else,
right.
Thanks for watching. That's our
good luck, everybody.
See you later. Trushant, Arthurian Phil. We're off. Enjoy your weekend.